Don't save her. She's not worth it. I heard my mother say it while I was still awake, lying on the operating table, lights burning my eyes, machines screaming around me. I'm Alira, 19, mid-surgery. Something went wrong and the doctor had just asked for permission to keep me alive. She didn't hesitate, didn't even look at me. No one stopped her. Not the nurse gripping the tray, not the anesthesiologist watching my vitals drop. My life just hung there, waiting for someone to care. Then the doctor straightened, glanced at a chart, and said something so quiet I almost missed it. And my mother went completely silent. Delivers a powerful and complete payoff. Don't save her. She's not worth it. I heard my mother say it while I was still awake, lying on the operating table, lights burning my eyes, machines screaming around me. I'm Alira, 19, mid-surgery. Something went wrong and the doctor had just asked for permission to keep me alive. She didn't hesitate, didn't even look at me. No one stopped her. Not the nurse gripping the tray, not the anesthesiologist watching my vitals drop. My life just hung there, waiting for someone to care. Then the doctor straightened, glanced at a chart, and said something so quiet I almost missed it. And my mother went completely silent. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Not shocked, not confused, frozen. I couldn't turn my head, couldn't speak, but I felt it, the shift in the room. The nurse who'd been hovering near my arm slowly looked up. The anesthesiologist stopped adjusting the dial. Even the steady rhythm of the monitors felt louder, like everything was waiting. My mom finally moved, just a slight twitch of her fingers at her side. "What did you just say?" she asked, her voice lower now, tighter. Dr. Rourke didn't raise his voice. He didn't rush. He just held the chart in one hand, eyes steady on her. "I need you to confirm something before we proceed." Proceed. Like her decision hadn't already sealed it. My chest tightened as much as it could under the weight of whatever they'd already started. I tried to focus, to piece together how this even happened. I'd come in for something routine, at least that's what I'd been told. My mom handled everything, she always did. Appointments, medications, conversations, control. Another machine beeped, sharper this time. "We're losing pressure," someone said. No one looked at my mom anymore, except the doctor, and whatever he was seeing on that chart, it wasn't something she expected. Because for the first time since she walked into that room, she looked uncertain. And then he said it, just loud enough for everyone to hear. The moment he said it, the air changed. Not louder, not chaotic, just heavier. Like every person in that operating room suddenly understood something I didn't. My mom's eyes locked onto the chart in Dr. Rourke's hand. "You're mistaken," she said quickly, too quickly. "There's nothing to confirm. I already told you what to do." Her voice had that familiar edge, the one that shut people down, the one I'd watched doctors fold under for months. But this time, Dr. Rourke didn't move. "Ms. Voss," he said, calm and precise, "your authority here isn't as absolute as you think." A flicker. That was the first crack. I couldn't see her fully from where I lay, but I heard it in the silence that followed. She didn't interrupt him. She didn't push back immediately. That wasn't like her, because my mom always controlled everything. It hadn't always felt strange, at least not at first. When I started getting sick last year, she stepped in before I even knew how serious it was, scheduled every appointment, spoke to every specialist, picked up every prescription. I barely had to think. "You just focus on getting better," she'd say, already filling out forms for me. And I believed her, even when things stopped making sense. Different doctors gave slightly different answers. My symptoms shifted in ways I couldn't explain, some days worse, some days almost gone. But every time I questioned it, she had an answer ready. "You're overthinking it," or worse, "You've always been fragile, Alira, this isn't new." I remember one appointment in particular. A doctor, older, quiet, asked me directly, "Have you been managing your medications yourself?" I opened my mouth to answer, but my mom cut in before I could. "She's not in a condition to keep track consistently," she said smoothly. "I handle everything." The doctor hesitated, just for a second. We never went back to him. After that, the medications changed again. New bottles, new schedules, always handed to me by her. "Take it," she'd say, watching until I swallowed. And I did. Because she was my mom. Because she said it would help. Because every time I tried to push back, ask for my records, ask to speak alone, her expression would shift into something cold and distant. "You don't trust me?" she asked once. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. She already knew. The argument that followed wasn't loud, but it was final. "You're alive because of me," she said quietly. "Don't forget that." And now I was on an operating table, listening to her tell someone to let me die. The monitor spiked again. "We're dropping," the anesthesiologist said, urgency creeping in. Dr. Rourke didn't look away from her. "Last chance," he said. A beat. Then my mom stepped forward, her voice sharpening again, trying to reclaim control. "I am her legal guardian. You don't get to override me." And that's when he said it, clear, firm, undeniable. "You were." Silence snapped across the room. "You were her guardian," he repeated, past tense. And for the first time in my life, my mother had no immediate response. "What do you mean, was?" "You were." The word didn't just hang there, it landed. My mom blinked, like she hadn't heard him correctly. "That's not possible," she said, but the certainty was gone. "I never signed anything." "You didn't need to," Dr. Rourke replied, already turning a page on the chart. "Elira did." Something inside me jolted at that, faint, distant, but real. "She updated her medical directive 2 weeks ago," he continued, voice steady despite the rising alarms. "Assigned a new healthcare proxy. Your decision-making authority was legally limited as of that filing." A nurse near my shoulder exhaled under her breath. Another glanced at the door, then back at my mom. "No," Marceline snapped, sharper now. "She wouldn't even understand those documents." But I did. Or I tried to. A memory pushed through the fog. A quiet office, not one of my usual appointments. Smaller, no fluorescent buzz. A woman sitting across from me, speaking gently. "You have the right to make your own decisions," she'd said, "even if someone else has been doing it for you." I remember hesitating, my hands cold. "What happens if I don't?" She didn't smile. "Then nothing changes." And that had scared me more. Back in the operating room, my mom took a step closer to the table, her voice lowering into something tight and dangerous. "Who authorized that meeting?" Dr. Rourke didn't answer the question. Instead, he nodded toward the nurse by the door. "Please notify administration we're proceeding under updated directive." The nurse hesitated, just a fraction, then left. "We're not proceeding with anything," my mom said louder now. "This is malpractice." "Her vitals say otherwise," the anesthesiologist cut in. "We don't have time." "You don't get to decide that," she snapped. But no one was looking at her anymore. They were looking at the monitors, at the numbers slipping, at me. I tried to move, anything, a finger, a breath, but my body stayed locked, distant. All I could do was listen as everything I thought I understood started to fracture. "You're making a mistake," my mom said again, but it sounded thinner this time. "You don't know her condition." Dr. Rourke finally looked up from the chart. "I know enough," he said. A beat, then quieter but somehow louder than anything else in the room. "We ran additional labs this morning. They don't match her diagnosis." The words didn't register all at once. Didn't match. "What are you implying?" my mom asked, and this time, there it was. Not anger, fear. Dr. Rourke didn't rush the answer. "I'm not implying anything," he said. I'm stating a fact. Another monitor alarm cut through the room. There are substances in her system, he continued, each word precise, that shouldn't be there. Everything stopped. Even the urgency, just for a second, paused around that sentence. My mom didn't move, didn't speak, didn't even breathe. And for the first time, I realized this wasn't just about saving me. It was about what had been done to me. Her voice finally came back, but it was quieter now, controlled. That's impossible. Dr. Rourke held her gaze. No, he said, it's not. We've been tracking it for weeks. For weeks. The words echoed louder than the alarms. My mom's composure didn't shatter all at once. It slipped, piece by piece. Her shoulders stiffened, her chin lifted like she could outweight the moment, outcontrol it. You're guessing, she said, but the precision in her voice was gone. You're building a theory under pressure. The OR doors opened behind her. A nurse stepped back in, but she wasn't alone this time. 2 hospital administrators hovered just outside the sterile line, and behind them, a uniformed security officer stood still, watching. That's when the balance broke. Dr. Rourke didn't even glance at them. Repeated toxin traces, he said, scanning the chart as if this were routine. Low-dose exposure, consistent intervals. Each phrase landed like a step forward. Correlates with her symptom spikes, the anesthesiologist added, eyes fixed on the monitors. We thought it was progression. It wasn't, Rourke said. My mom shook her head slowly, like if she denied it calmly enough, the room would reset. You're misreading the labs. She's been on multiple medications. None of which explain this compound, he cut in. Silence. I felt it then, not physically, but mentally. Pieces sliding into place I didn't know were missing. The sudden crashes after I took what she gave me. The days I felt almost normal, when I'd skipped a dose without telling her. The doctors we never saw twice. A memory surfaced sharp and clear. A nurse watching my mom hand me pills, her expression just a little too focused. Later, that same nurse quietly asking me, "Do you always take what she gives you?" I'd laughed it off. Now I couldn't breathe around it. This is absurd, my mom said, but she'd taken a step back without realizing it. You're accusing me of what exactly? Dr. Rourke finally set the chart down. Of maintaining her condition, he said evenly. The words didn't rise, they didn't accuse, they settled. Behind her, one of the administrators spoke quietly to the security officer. A radio crackled faintly. No, she said immediately, too fast. No, there's no proof of that. There's enough, Rourke replied, and more coming. The monitor spiked again, louder, sharper. We don't have time, the anesthesiologist said. We need to act now. Rourke nodded once. Proceed. My mom stepped forward instinctively, hand lifting like she could physically stop them. You can't just override me. We already have, he said. That stopped her. Not the words, the certainty. No one moved toward her. No one asked her anything. She wasn't part of the process anymore. She was outside it. And she felt it. Her eyes flicked toward the door, toward the figures waiting there, toward the realization closing in from all sides. You're making a mistake, she said again, but it barely held together. Rourke didn't respond to her this time. He turned to the team instead. Stabilize her. We're correcting the damage. Damage. Not illness. Not condition. Damage. My vision blurred at the edges as they moved faster now, instruments shifting, voices tightening into focus. And just before everything finally faded, I heard Dr. Rourke say one last thing, clear enough to cut through everything. Authorities are already reviewing your involvement. When I woke up, everything was quiet. No alarms screaming, no voices overlapping, just a soft, steady beep and sunlight pressing gently through a window I didn't recognize. For a few seconds, I didn't move. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, waiting for something to feel familiar. It didn't. A nurse noticed I was awake and stepped in quickly. "Elira, can you hear me?" I nodded. My throat felt raw. My body, lighter somehow. Not strong, but different. "You're safe," she said. "The surgery was successful." Safe. The word lingered longer than anything else. It came back in pieces after that. Not all at once. Conversations, careful explanations, pauses where people watched my reaction before continuing. The truth wasn't dramatic when they told it. It was methodical. There were toxins in my system, not accidental, not environmental, controlled doses administered over time. Enough to keep me sick, never enough to kill me quickly. Until the damage built up. Until this surgery. My mom had managed everything. Appointments, prescriptions, intake. She'd positioned herself as the only person who could handle my condition. Insurance claims, medical attention, control over my decisions. And when I started pushing back, asking questions, asking for independence, I became a risk. That's why I had that meeting 2 weeks before the surgery. The one I barely understood at the time. A hospital advocate had flagged inconsistencies in my records. Quietly, carefully. They gave me a way to assign my own healthcare proxy, to limit my mom's control without confronting her directly. I signed it. I didn't realize it would save my life. Dr. Rourke had already been reviewing my labs before the operation. Patterns didn't match. The additional tests that morning confirmed it. That's why he asked for consent the way he did. Not because he needed her approval, but because he needed her response. And she gave it. Don't save her. That was enough. Authorities were contacted before I even left the operating room. My mom didn't come back. She was detained at the hospital that same day. The investigation moved fast after that. Medical records, pharmacy logs, prior doctors, a pattern that couldn't be explained away. Charges followed. Not just negligence, intentional harm. People who knew her didn't know what to do with it. The devoted mother image didn't survive the evidence. As for me, I stayed in recovery longer than expected. Not because of complications, but because they wanted to make sure everything in my system was clear. For the first time in over a year, no new symptoms appeared. No sudden crashes, no unexplained pain. Just steady improvement. A distant relative, someone I'd only met twice growing up, stepped in as my legal guardian temporarily. Not controlling, not hovering, just present when needed. Weeks later, I sat by the window in a different room, dressed in my own clothes, a folder resting in my lap. My medical records. All of them. Unfiltered, unmanaged, mine. A nurse paused at the door. "There's a number here," she said gently. "If you ever decide you want to contact your mother." I looked down at the page, at her name, at everything attached to it. Then I closed the folder. "No," I said, not angry, not shaking, certain. Later that day, I stood at the discharge desk, pen in hand. My hand trembled slightly as I signed the final form, but the signature was clear. Recognizable. Mine. No one guided it. No one watched to make sure I did it right. When I stepped outside, the air felt different. Not lighter, not heavier, just real. For the first time, nothing about my life was being decided for me. And the voice that had been ignored on that operating table was the only one that mattered now.